The truck that became a time machine. How the Ford F-150 shows you the future, while pretending to be ordinary. Part 1. Meeting the shape-shifting king of the work trucks. The ordinary vehicle that quietly runs half your life somewhere in a grocery store parking lot. Right now, a man in work boots is loading lumber into the bed of a dusty Ford F-150. On the same day, somewhere else, a woman in a city suburb is buckling her kids into the backseat of a spotless Ford F-150 that still smells like new upholstery. Further away, a crew is stepping out of a mud-splattered F-150 on a wind-blasted construction site, tools clanking as they climb down. And late that night, a couple will slide into an F-150 Platinum trim that looks more like a luxury lounge on wheels than a work truck, setting off on a weekend trip with their camper. 4 scenes. Different lives. Same badge. Here is the curious part. If you asked most people to name innovative products, they might say smartphones, streaming apps, maybe electric cars. Almost nobody would say that pickup truck in the next parking space is one of the most important innovation platforms in the world. And yet the Ford F-150 is exactly that. For decades, it has been the best-selling vehicle in North America. Massive profit engine for Ford. A rolling laboratory where new technologies are tested in the harshest real-world conditions. A quiet partner in millions of small businesses, farms, and side hustles. But under the metal and the marketing, the F-150 hides something far more interesting for you. It is a masterclass in how to design products that normal people can build their lives on. If you are unemployed and trying to imagine a new path, underemployed and tired of being stuck, living on Social Security and wondering if you can still start anything at all, running a fragile small business that feels like it could break any minute. The story of the F-150 is not just about trucks. It is about how to create dependable, flexible, money-making tools that everyday people can trust. Ford's pickup is like a physical version of the kind of business, service, or side hustle you want to build. Tough enough for real-world stress. Flexible enough to fit different lives. Familiar enough that people are not afraid to try it. Innovative enough to stay ahead without scaring everyone off. In this 3-part series, we will unpack that. We will turn the F-150 into an idea generation manual for you. Chapter 1. What is the Ford F-150, really? On paper, the Ford F-150 is a full-size pickup truck. But that phrase hides more than it reveals. To Ford, the F-150 is a flagship product line, a cornerstone of its identity, a platform on which many variations and business models sit. To buyers, the F-150 can be a basic work tool with vinyl floors and simple controls, a family vehicle with a spacious backseat and advanced safety features, hobby machine for towing boats, hauling ATVs, or going off-road, a mobile office for contractors, electricians, roofers, and landscapers. Now, even an electric innovation platform, as with the F-150 Lightning. That last point is especially important for idea generation. Ford did something bold. It took the most traditional, conservative vehicle category in America, the full-size pickup, and began turning it into a testbed for the future of mobility. Instead of saying, electric vehicles and digital tech are for sleek little city cars, Ford said, no, let us plug the future directly into the most down-to-earth, working-class product we have. From aluminum body panels to onboard power outlets, from advanced driver assist systems to the fully electric Lightning version, the F-150 is where Ford proves that new ideas can work in real life. Entrepreneur translation. The F-150 is a reminder that your most powerful innovations might not belong in some fancy, futuristic niche. They might belong in the most ordinary, widely used part of your world. Chapter 2. Why the F-150 matters far beyond trucks. You could fill a report with numbers about the F-150. How many years it has topped sales charts. How much revenue it brings to Ford. How many units have been produced. But those numbers, while huge, miss something deeper. The F-150 is an economic multiplier for other people. The value of one truck is not just what it costs at the dealership, what Ford earns in profit. The real value is the construction jobs it enables, the deliveries it makes possible, the farm work it supports, the small business logos that ride on its doors, the side hustles that get off the ground because someone finally has a reliable vehicle to reach clients. In simple terms, the F-150 is a machine that helps other people make money. That is exactly the kind of thing you want your own product or service to be, or you plan to offer. A paperwork help service for older adults, a cleaning and organizing service, a job search guidance program, a local errand and support business. Your offer is most powerful, and it multiplies your customers' ability to earn, save, or protect money. That is what the F-150 has done quietly for decades. F-150 versus Silverado versus Ram. To see what makes the F-150 special, compare it with its two closest rivals. Chevrolet Silverado aims to be the number nonsense, do everything workhorse with a strong heritage and solid reliability story. Ram pickup trucks carved out a niche by focusing heavily on comfort and upscale interiors, trying to be the most car-like and comfortable option. Ford, with the F-150, chose a particular identity. We are the benchmark. We are the truck you measure others against. We bring innovation to the worksite and prove it there first. Ford has repeatedly taken big structural risks with the F-150, switching large parts of the body to aluminum to cut weight and improve fuel efficiency when competitors hesitated. Introducing onboard generator-style power systems so workers could run tools directly from the truck. Committing one of its most iconic products to full battery electric power with the F-150 Lightning. Entrepreneur lesson: when you are the leader in a category, you do not protect your position by freezing. You protect it by proving new ideas work in the most demanding, down-to-earth context you have. Even if you are not a leader yet, you can copy this thinking on a smaller scale. Try your new idea in the toughest, most real-life corner of your market. If it survives there, it will shine in easier situations. Chapter 3. The F1, not just a product. One of the biggest mistakes non-entrepreneurs make is this. They look at successful things as single products instead of platforms. At first glance, the F-150 looks like a truck model. But under the surface, it is actually a flexible platform with many possible body styles and configurations. A menu of trim levels from basic work trucks to near luxury. A test bed for powertrain options, gasoline, diesel in some versions, hybrid, and now full electric. A base for countless upfit packages. Contractor racks, fleet setups, specialty equipment. Ford designed the F-150 so it could wear many costumes while keeping a common skeleton. This gives them enormous leverage. They can develop one strong base and then sell it in many variations. Suppliers can design accessories and equipment that fit a huge market. Customers can move up or sideways within the F-150 family as their needs change. This is the same pattern that shows up in smartphone lines like Apple S, where one core platform supports multiple models. Software where one code base supports different subscription tiers. Franchise systems where one core process supports many locations or niches. For you, even if you feel you have nothing, the F-150 suggests a crucial question. What core skill or system could I treat as my platform, and what different versions could I build on top of it? We will come back to this. Chapter 4. The F-150 Mindset: 8 Principles for Idea Generation. To turn this truck story into something useful for your life, we are going to extract 8 idea generation principles from the way Ford has built and evolved the F-150. These principles will help you create product and service ideas that people truly rely on, can flex to serve different kinds of customers, can evolve over time without breaking trust. Here are the 8 principles in plain language. First principle: build for hard use, then make it easy to love. Second principle: turn your best seller into your test lab. Third principle: create many faces from one strong backbone. Fourth principle: innovate loudly in a familiar shape. Fifth principle: design for both work and life, not work or life. Sixth principle: use trust as your fuel, not hype. Seventh principle: let your product become a partner, not just a purchase. Eighth principle: use each new version to pull your customers into the future. In this part 1, we will explore the first 2 principles in depth. Parts 2 and 3 will walk through the rest and show you how to apply them directly to life as an unemployed, underemployed, retired, or small-scale entrepreneur. Principle 1. Build for hard use, then make it easy to love. How the F-150 lives this principle. If you talk to Ford engineers about the F-150, you do not hear them brag first about leather seats or big screens. You hear about frames tested under pounding loads, towing performance on steep grades, durability of suspensions on rough, unpaved roads, engines and drivetrains designed for long-term abuse. The F-150 has to survive job sites where it is loaded to the limits, farms where it spends its days in dust and mud, winters where salt and cold attack every part, long-distance towing that pushes systems to their edge. Ford knows that if the truck cannot handle hard use, nothing else matters. A fancy entertainment system is worthless if the truck is broken down. So the first design priority is, does this thing work for people who actually push it hard? Only once that foundation is solid does Ford layer on comfort features like better seats and quiet cabins, convenience features like remote start and driver assist systems, luxury trims with high-grade materials and tech. This order matters. They do not lead by saying, "This is the most beautiful truck," though beauty helps. They lead by saying, "This is the truck that works." And, by the way, it can also be very pleasant and stylish. Why this matters for your ideas. If you are trying to build anything that will help people survive and earn in tough conditions, which is exactly the situation of many unemployed or underemployed people and those on Social Security, then you must copy this order. First, make it work under stress. Then, make it attractive and pleasant. For example, imagine you want to offer a service helping older adults manage paperwork and appointments. A show-first approach would be designing a perfect logo, building a slick website, printing glossy flyers. A F-150 approach would be, first, testing whether your process actually helps someone get through a confusing appointment with less stress and better results. Checking if your way of organizing documents still works when they have a messy pile, missing pages, and last-minute letters. Proving that your system still functions when the person is tired, emotional, or overwhelmed. Once you know your method holds up under hard emotional and practical use, then you can design a clearer flyer, a simple website, a friendlier visual style. Comparisons. F-150 versus more showy products. There are vehicles and products that lead with flash. Sports cars that focus on looks and speed over everyday practicality. Gadgets that boast amazing features but break after a short time. Apps that look amazing in screenshots but crash when many people use them. Many of those products never become something that people depend on. They are toys or temporary trends. The F-150 is the opposite of a toy. It is a tool first, symbol second. This is similar to how some of the best boring business tools work. Sprite programs that never win design awards, but quietly run the back office of almost every company. Simple, messaging apps that carry critical communication every day. Payment systems that look plain but never, ever fail. If you want to help people in hard situations, especially those with limited money and high stress, build F-150 type tools, not sports car toys. 3 common mistakes businesses make with Principle. 1 mistake. 1. Designing for the showroom, not the job site. Many creators fall in love with how their product appears in ideal conditions. They picture a perfect, tidy user, a quiet, clean room, a patient person with lots of time to learn and explore. That is the showroom. Real life is different. Real users are tired, distracted, often in a hurry, surrounded by noise and clutter. Ford tests the F-150 in brutal real-world scenarios because that is where it will live. Entrepreneur lesson. Test your service or product idea with people at their worst, not at their best. If it still works when they are stressed, confused, or short on time, you have something. Mistake 2. Overbuilding comfort before proving core strength. Some businesses spend disproportionate energy on the love-to-have features. Fancy packaging, beautiful branding, extra perks, and only later discover that the main service breaks under pressure. The core promise is unreliable. The results are inconsistent. That is like designing a truck with heated massage seats and a premium sound system, but with a woke frame and unreliable engine. Entrepreneur lesson. Make a list. What is the hardest thing my product or service will have to do? Prove you can handle those scenarios first. Only then start adding comforts and style. Mistake 3. Forgetting that hard use depends on the customer's reality. For a construction boss, hard use means heavy loads and rough terrain. For an older adult on Social Security, hard use means cognitive overload, anxiety about forms and rules, limited physical energy, limited technology comfort. You must understand what hard looks like for your specific users. Ford knows that one buyer might use an F-150 as a daily commuter, while another will pull heavy equipment every day. So the company offers different configurations and ratings. Entrepreneur lesson. Talk to your intended users. Ask them to describe their worst days. Design with those days in mind. Lessons learned from Principle 1. When you think about your idea, ask, does this hold up when life hits hard? Have I built the frame and engine before the leather and stereo? Do I know what tough conditions look like for my people? If you get this right, you will have something that people do not just like, they depend on it. Just like the F-150. Principle 2. Turn your best seller into your test lab. The next major lesson from the F-150 is more daring. Ford did not keep new, risky ideas locked away in some tiny, weird model nobody buys. They did something braver. They used their best-selling, most visible product as the place to introduce and test big shifts. This is much scarier but also much more powerful. Big bets made on the Fonefifty itself, two of the boldest examples. The switch to extensive aluminum body panels to cut weight. The launch of the fully electric F-150 Lightning. Both decisions involved real risk. The aluminum gamble traditionally, truck buyers associated toughness with steel. Aluminum was seen as lighter, yes, but maybe weaker. Maybe too fancy or fragile for serious work. Ford knew that reducing weight could improve fuel efficiency, towing and hauling performance, overall handling. But they also knew competitors would mock the move. Customers might worry about durability and repair. They were messing with an icon. Ford did it anyway, directly on the F-150. They tested the idea where it mattered most. They refined manufacturing, repair processes, and marketing around it. And the truck kept selling. That choice sent a signal. The future of tough trucks will not look exactly like the past. We are going to prove that here, not in a science project off to the side. The electric F-150 Lightning. When Ford launched an all-electric version of the F-150, it chose one of the most traditional, conservative segments, full-size pickups, as the place to fight for the future. It could have built a quirky electric city car instead. Instead, it said, if we can convince work truck buyers that electric can work, we can convince anyone. Ford emphasized massive instant torque for towing, onboard power outlets that could run tools and even power a house during an outage. The fact that it was still, at heart, an F-150. Again, they turned their biggest platform into a test lab for the next era of mobility. Why this matters for you: most people do the opposite. In business and in life, they hide their new ideas. In small, low-visibility experiments they never fully commit to. In side projects they never take seriously. In someday lists that never get tested in the real world. Ford's lesson is not that you should be reckless, but that you should use the most real, most used part of your life as the place to test better methods. Improve your main work first, not just your side fantasies. For example, if your best seller in life right now is helping neighbors with rides and errands, doing small repairs for local families, assisting older relatives with medical appointments, then your F-150 test lab might be trying a better scheduling method for your existing tasks, introducing a new, clearer way of taking notes at appointments, testing a simple checklist that makes your current work smoother. In other words, do not only experiment in places you do not care about, experiment in the place where your work actually lives. That is what Ford did with the F-150. Comparisons. How other companies handle their hero product. Some brands are very protective of their main products. They leave them mostly unchanged. Only make safe, slow tweaks. Move real innovation to side projects. This can feel safe, but it often leads to the main product slowly falling behind. Side projects never reaching scale. Customers drifting toward competitors who take bold but thoughtful risks. Apple, for instance, uses its flagship phone line as a constant test bed. New chips, new camera systems, new security technologies. They do not hide these in a small, separate gadget. They put them straight into the phone millions of people use. Ford's use of the F-150 is similar in spirit. Entrepreneur lesson. The thing you are best known for should not be frozen. It should be where your best improvements appear. 3 common mistakes with principle to mistake 1. Saving your best ideas for fantasy projects. Many people treat their real, current work like something to endure, and their creative energy goes to imaginary startups, side projects that never get shared, elaborate plans for later. Ford did the opposite. It asked, how can we make our main product, the one everyone already uses, the place where the future shows up, if your main reality right now is looking for work, managing a small household budget, running a tiny local service, then that is where you should test better systems, not in daydreams. Mistake 2. Changing everything at once without a clear story. Ford did not randomly throw new tech at the F-150. Each major change had a story and a reason. Aluminum to cut weight and boost capability. Electric to add power, lower running costs, and offer onboard electricity. If you change your main offer, you need to explain what changed, why it helps, why it is still the same at its core. Otherwise, existing customers and supporters will panic. Mistake 3. Ignoring your main user's toughest questions. When Ford changed the F-150, buyers had blunt questions. Will aluminum dent too easily? Can an electric truck really tow? The truck that became a time machine. How the Ford F-150 shows you the future while pretending to be ordinary. Part 2. One backbone, many faces, turning your main skill into a lineup of offers. Chapter 5. One name, many lives. Walk along a dealership row of Ford F-150 trucks and look closely. They all wear the same badge, but they do not live the same life. One is a bare-bones regular cab with a long bed, simple wheels, and almost no chrome. It looks like it was born to carry lumber, gravel, and ladders. Next to it, a crew cab with a shorter bed, shiny wheels, a plush interior, and a big infotainment screen. This one will probably carry school bags and groceries as often as toolboxes. Further down the row, a rugged off-road-oriented F-150 with special tires, skid plates, and lifted suspension. Its weekends will be spent on dirt trails and muddy fields. Same name, same basic skeleton, completely different stories. Ford has done something brilliant with the F-150. It has turned one engineering platform into many distinct products in people's minds. Contractors see work truck. Families see a comfortable, safe, roomy vehicle. Outdoor lovers see an adventure machine. And now, with the F-150 Lightning, tech-curious buyers see a bridge into the electric future. All of that built on one backbone. That is our next principle. Principle 3. Create many faces from one strong backbone. How Ford uses one platform to serve many worlds underneath the variety of one Fonefifty. Shared components and systems. A common overall layout of cab and bed. On top of that, Ford layers. Different cab sizes and bed lengths. Different engines and powertrains. Different equipment levels, from basic work trucks to luxury trims. Special packages aimed at towing, off-road use, or fleet buyers. To the factory, this is efficient. To the customer, it feels like choice. Ford is not building 10 entirely different trucks from scratch. It is building one extremely flexible backbone, then dressing it in different faces for different buyers. That backbone carries engineering investment, the safety systems, the reliability that Ford has tested over and over. Each face is a way of saying, this truck is for your story. There is a powerful lesson here for you, especially if you feel like you only have one main skill, your backbone. A skill you keep underestimating. Most people have at least one backbone skill, but they think of it too narrowly. For example, maybe your backbone is you are good at explaining complicated things in simple language. You are patient with older adults who are confused by forms and technology. You can walk into a messy space and quickly see how to organize it. You have spent years dealing with medical appointments, benefits, or job hunting, and you understand how the system really works. You might be telling yourself, That is just something I do for my family. That is not a business. That is not special. But Ford would look at that and say, that is your F-150 platform. You just have not built trims yet, turning one backbone into several faces. Let us take that good at explaining and guiding backbone as an example. From that single backbone, you could create multiple faces. A medical visit buddy face. You go with older adults to appointments, help them ask questions, and take notes. Paperwork untangle face. You help people sort mail, understand letters, and complete key forms. A basic tech guide face. You help seniors learn to use their phone, tablet, or video calls safely and comfortably. A job paperwork helper face. You help underemployed or unemployed people prepare resumes and fee applications. Same backbone, patience. Clear explanation. Comfort with forms and basic tech. Many faces, different names, different prices, different customer groups. Exactly like the F-150. Same platform. Many trims. Completely different uses. Comparisons. F-150 versus narrow products. Some competitors in other markets build very narrow products. One specific app that only does one rigid task. Service that cannot easily be adapted to different people. One course that only fits a very tiny slice of the population. Those offerings can work, but they are fragile. If anything changes in that narrow niche, the whole business is at risk. Ford as F-150 strategy is more resilient. By having work trims, family trims, fleet trims, off-road and electric trims, Ford reduces its dependence on any single slice. You can do the same with your backbone skill. Even if you are just one person, you can design 2 or 3 faces for your work instead of one. 3 common mistakes with the many faces, one backbone. Strategy. Mistake 1. Reinventing everything for each customer. Many solo workers and small businesses exhaust themselves by treating every client as a completely new project. They rewrite every document from scratch. Change their entire process every time. Do not reuse checklists or templates. That is like Ford building a totally new vehicle from scratch for every buyer. It is impossible to scale. It leads to burnout and inconsistency. Entrepreneur lesson. Define your backbone, your core way of working. Standardize parts of it. Checklists, scripts, tools. Then adapt only what truly needs to change per face. You are building an F-150 platform, not a one-off concept car. Mistake 2. Hiding your different faces instead of naming them. Sometimes people do serve different needs, but they never label or communicate them clearly. For example, someone might help grandparents with phones, help neighbors understand insurance letters, help friends organize home offices, all under a vague label like, I just help with stuff. Customers cannot see the pattern. They do not know what to ask for. Ford does not just say, we sell trucks. It says, we have a basic work trim. We have a luxury trim. We have an off-road trim. We have an electric version. Entrepreneur lesson. Give each face a clear description, possibly even a simple name. Make it easy for people to say, I want that one. Mistake 3. Letting your faces drift so far apart that you lose your backbone. The opposite risk is trying to do so many completely different things that you no longer have a clear backbone. In business, this looks like a person offering tech help, selling crafts, doing fitness training, and trading crypto advice, all under one name. None of these using the same core skill set in a consistent way. To customers, it feels scattered. To you, it feels exhausting. Ford does not use the F-150 name for sports cars, tiny city cars, and delivery vans. It keeps that name for a specific backbone, full-size, body-on-frame pickups. Entrepreneur lesson. Make sure that all your faces grow from the same root skill set. If something does not share your backbone, it might deserve a different brand, or it might not belong on your plate at all. Lessons from Principle 3. To imitate the F-150 in your own life. Identify the backbone skill or process you already use in different contexts. Build at least 2 or 3 clear faces on top of that backbone, each aimed at a specific type of person or problem. Keep the core the same, so every improvement to your backbone makes all your faces better. One strong backbone, many clear faces. That is F-150 thinking. Chapter 6. The safe shape hiding wild ideas. If you look at a Ford F-150 from far away, it does not look like a science fiction machine. It looks like a truck. Tall hood, big cabin, open bed, traditional, even conservative. But inside that familiar shape, Ford has hidden some very bold moves. An aluminum-intensive body structure, advanced driver assist systems, onboard power systems that turn the truck into a rolling generator, a fully electric version in the form of the Lightning. Ford understood something subtle and powerful. Many people are open to new ideas as long as those ideas arrive in a familiar wrapper. And that gives us the next principle. Principle 4. Innovate loudly, in a familiar shape. How Ford uses familiarity as a shield for innovation. When Ford re-engineered the F-150 with extensive aluminum body panels, it knew buyers were nervous. So what did it not do? It did not make the truck look radically alien. Instead, it kept the silhouette recognizable. It preserved the basic posture of an F-Series truck. Kept the name and overall identity. The message was, this is still the F-150 you know, just built smarter. The same pattern appeared with the F-150 Lightning. Underneath, big changes. Electric motors instead of a traditional engine. A battery pack under the floor. Indifferent weight distribution and driving feel. But from the outside, it still clearly looks like an F-150. Same basic size, same recognizable front and profile, same bed and cab layout. This was intentional. Ford did not say, here is a weird new thing for weird early adopters. It said, here is your F-150, but with a future inside. Familiar wrapper, radical core. Why this matters for your ideas. If you are trying to help people who are already overwhelmed, unemployed, underemployed, on fixed income, or simply stressed, they are often wary of strange new things, afraid of being tricked, short on mental energy to learn whole new systems. If you show up with something that looks wild and unfamiliar, they may back away, even if it would help them. If you present the innovation in a familiar shape, they are more likely to give it a chance. For example, instead of a complex life optimization system, you could offer a weekly coffee table meeting where we go through your mail and to-do list together. The innovation is in your method. The wrapper is a simple meeting. Instead of a strange personal ERP software, for small shops, you could offer a better way to keep a notebook and simple folders, plus a bit of phone support each week. The innovation is in how you structure information. The wrapper is paper and a call. Instead of a scary coaching program, you could offer a weekly call where we untangle one problem in your job search at a time. The innovation is your questions and frameworks. The wrapper is a friendly call. Like the F-150, you let people recognize the shape, even while you upgrade the insides. Comparisons. Companies that forgot the familiar wrapper, many disruption, or stories fail because innovators forget about familiarity. They change the product, change the language, change the process, change the culture, all at once. Customers feel they are being asked to jump into a whole new world. Most will not. By contrast, some of the most successful digital tools looked like older things at first. Early word processors looked like typewriters on screen. Early online stores looked like catalog pages. Many banking apps look like simplified versions of paper statements. Familiar shapes, new insides. That is Fonefifty thinking. 3 common mistakes with principle for mistake 1. Making everything look and sound radical to feel impressive. Entrepreneurs sometimes want to prove they are innovative by using new buzzwords, strange branding, complex explanations. They think, if it sounds completely new, people will know I am special. But most customers are not grading you on originality. They are asking, can I understand this quickly? Does this feel safe? Is this for people like me? The more extreme and foreign your presentation, the more energy it takes to say yes. Entrepreneur lesson: let the radical part be in your thinking and systems, not in how intimidating or alien you look on the outside. Mistake 2. Hiding all innovation so deeply that nobody notices. On the other side, some people are so afraid of scaring customers that they never talk about what makes them special. They present their service as completely generic. Result: they blend into the background. Nobody knows why to choose them. Their best ideas never reach the people who need them. Ford does not hide the F-150 Lightning's electric nature. It talks about instant torque, onboard power, lower operating costs. But it does that inside the familiar truck shape. Entrepreneur lesson: do not be shy about what makes your way better. Just present it in simple, reassuring language and familiar form. Mistake 3. Forgetting that familiarity changes by audience. What feels familiar to a 20-year-old might feel alien to a 70-year-old. For example, a smartphone app is a familiar wrapper for many younger users. A printed checklist or phone call is the familiar wrapper for many elders. If you are serving people on Social Security or those who are not used to technology, you may need to wrap your innovation in paper, voice, and in-person visits. Use language that feels like everyday conversation, not corporate jargon. Ford knows that F-150 buyers have expectations about what a truck should look and feel like. So Ford innovates inside that mental frame. You should do the same with your audience. Lessons from Principle 4: ask yourself, what is the most familiar shape or format my audience already trusts? How can I deliver new value inside that familiar wrapper? How can I talk about my improvements in plain, down-to-earth language? You are not watering down your innovation. You are making it digestible. Like the F-150 Lightning, radical heart, everyday body. Chapter 7. The truck that works all day and still takes the kids to school. Think of the people you want to serve. Someone working a part-time job and doing side gigs. Someone who is retired but caring for family. Someone juggling several small incomes to survive. Their life is not neatly divided into work and personal. It is all mixed. Work seeps into evenings. Family needs spill into business hours. Health stress shows up during job interviews. A Ford F-150 understands this. In many households, the truck is not just a work asset, a person or vehicle. It is both. During the week, it hauls tools. On weekends, it hauls kids, groceries, and recreation. That leads to another powerful principle. Principle 5. Design for both work and life, not work or life. How the F-150 balances these worlds. Ford could have made the F-150 a pure work truck. Brutally stiff suspension. Minimal comfort. No concern for family use. Some trims do lean toward that bare-bones direction. But Ford also realized, many buyers are one-truck households. The truck must justify its cost by serving many roles. People do not want to be punished for choosing a capable vehicle. So modern F-150 trucks combine towing capacity and payload for work, comfortable seating and safety features for family, quiet cabins and good sound systems for daily commuting, storage and power outlets for laptops and tools. They are, quite literally, work-life balance on wheels. You can finish a job and drive straight to a parent-teacher conference without feeling like you are in the wrong vehicle. Why this matters for your offers. If you only design for work and ignore the rest of your customer's life, you will miss important needs. For example, a job search program that treats people like full-time job hunters with no kids, no worries, and no health issues will fail many real humans. A money management system that assumes steady, predictable income will break for gig workers and people on Social Security. A cleaning service that only cares about speed and ignores emotional attachment to items will clash with real families. Likewise, if you only design for life comfort and ignore practicality, people cannot rely on you when it is time to earn or protect income. The F-150 approach is, I will help you earn, and I will not forget you also have a life to live. Your service can say, I will help you solve this serious problem, and I will not ignore your emotions, your time limits, and your family reality. Comparisons. Products that choose only one side. Some brands are all about work. Cold, rigid, efficiency-only tools. Interfaces that assume users have energy, confidence, and no fear. Others are all about life. Soft, feel-good, self-care platforms. No real attention to income, results, or practical stress. The F-150 became a legend because it deliberately straddled both worlds. It shows up on brutal construction sites. It also shows up in school pickup lines and family photos. You can design your offering to live in both places too. 3 common mistakes with principle. 5. Mistake 1. Treating your customer like a single role instead of a whole person. Some services talk as if the job seeker has no children or health problems. The small shop owner has no emotional life. The elderly person has no dignity beyond their medical issues. Real life is not like that. The F-150 does not say, I only tow trailers, do not use me for anything else. It is built to understand that one vehicle often must carry all parts of someone's life. Entrepreneur lesson. When you design your process, ask what else is going on in their life when they use this. Respect that complexity. Mistake 2. Overloading your offer with features to try to cover every life situation at once. Balancing work and life does not mean becoming everything to everyone. The F-150 does not also try to be a sports car, a motorcycle, a luxury bus. It picks its triangle: work, family, everyday driving. In your case, balancing work and life might mean structuring your services so that appointments can be rescheduled easily when family emergencies happen. Building in breaks and checkpoints so people can pause and restart, recognizing that some weeks will be low-energy weeks. It does not mean solving every possible problem in every area of their life. Mistake 3. Forgetting that life includes emotional safety. When people bring you into their space, their home, their finances, their health, their job search, they are not only hiring skills, they are risking embarrassment, judgment, exposure of their struggles. If you are a work-only person who ignores the emotional side, they may never call you again, even if your skills are strong. Ford understands something similar. The truck must be a place people feel safe, not just a tool. Safety features, comfortable seats, and intuitive controls add to that sense of security. Entrepreneur lesson: build processes that protect your customer's dignity, keep their information safe. Speak with respect, especially when they are vulnerable. That is designing for life, not just work. Lessons from Principle 5. Ask yourself, how does my offer help somebody earn, save, or protect money? How does my offer respect and support the rest of their life at the same time? Would I design anything differently if I pictured my own family using this while stressed and tired? If you can answer those honestly, you are closer to F150 level usefulness. In Part 3, we will explore the remaining principles, how the F-150 uses trust as fuel instead of empty hype, how it becomes a partner rather than just a purchase, how each new version of the truck pulls longtime customers step by step into the future without leaving them behind. We will also turn all 8 principles into practical exercises you can use to design income-creating ideas, even if you feel you are starting with almost nothing. If this helped you see the F-150 and your own skills in a new way, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That is where I turn stories like this into simple, concrete steps you can follow to design workhorse products and services that real people can build their lives on. Right. Part 3. The truck that became a time machine. How the Ford F-150 shows you the future, while pretending to be ordinary. Part 3. Trust, partnership, and pulling people into the future, turning your main offer into a long-term lifeline. Chapter 8. The invisible fuel, under the hood. On paper, what moves a Ford F-150 down the road is gasoline or diesel, or electricity in the case of the Lightning. But if you look at the long history of this truck, there is another kind of fuel that matters just as much: trust. People buy an F-150 because they believe it will start in the morning. It will not fall apart under work. It will not leave them stranded far from home or far from a job site. That belief may come from their own experience, stories from family and friends, the simple fact that they keep seeing F-Series trucks everywhere they go. For entrepreneurs, underemployed workers, unemployed job seekers, and people on Social Security, this is not just a car company detail. It is a survival principle, because if you want someone to depend on your service or product the way people depend on a truck, you must learn to treat trust as your main fuel. That brings us to the next principle. Principle 6. Use trust as your fuel, not hype. How Ford built trust. Around the F-150, Ford did not turn the F-150 into a legend by shouting the loudest. It did it by staying in the market year after year, decade after decade, fixing problems, sometimes the hard way, when things went wrong, making sure that, for most people, most of the time, the truck simply did what it was supposed to do. Trust grew from fleets that bought large numbers of F-150s and kept buying them because downtime was low, families who handed trucks down to their children, farmers and contractors who felt, I know this truck. I know how it behaves. I understand what it can and cannot do. When Ford made bold moves, like switching to extensive aluminum or launching the F-150 Lightning, it did not throw that trust away. Instead, it tested heavily, communicated reasons clearly, kept the core identity of the truck intact. From a business point of view, Ford knows a single broken wave of trust can cost more than a clever marketing campaign can earn. Hype may create attention, but only trust creates repeated use and referrals. What this means for your work, whether you are helping people with forms, cleaning and organizing homes, guiding job searches, providing tech help for seniors. Your real fuel is not your logo, your website, or your clever phrases. Your fuel is they showed up when they said they would. They did what they promised. They did not make me feel stupid. I felt safer after than before. If you are under financial stress, it is tempting to grab at quick attention, over-promising, using dramatic claims, pretending you can guarantee more than you really can. But hype that outruns reality burns the very fuel you need most. The F-150 teaches you. Say what you can do. Then do it again and again, especially when no one is cheering. That is how trust grows. Comparisons. Trust-led versus hype-led. Products considered to different types of products. Flashy gadget, heavily advertised online, which breaks after a few weeks. Plain, unexciting tool in your kitchen that has worked for years without drama. Which one would you recommend to someone you care about? The second. Now think of software. A hyped-up app that everyone installs for a month, then forgets because it is buggy. A boring-looking tool that quietly runs critical work for years. The F-150 is that second type in truck form. Visible, yes. Advertised, yes. But ultimately carried by experience, not buzz. You want your service to be that dependable, boringly excellent thing that people talk about in calm, appreciative tones. 3 common mistakes with principle. 6 mistake. 1. Overselling short-term results. Many service providers feel pressure to promise miracles. Get a job in 1 week. Fix your whole life in 1 month. Never have paperwork problems again. Reality is messier. Ford does not promise that a F-150 will never need maintenance. It promises clear capabilities, realistic performance, support when things go wrong. Entrepreneur lesson. Offer concrete, modest promises you can keep or exceed. Describe likely outcomes, not fantasies. For example, instead of "I will get you a job," say, "I will help you present yourself clearly and reach more opportunities." Fix everything in your house. Say, "We will create order in these 3 rooms together." Mistake 2. Treating every interaction as a one-time transaction. Hype thrives on quick wins. Trust grows over repeated, small, reliable experiences. Some businesses treat each client like a quick sale. They rush through. They do not follow up. They never think, "Will this person want to work with me again?" Ford treats the F-150 as a multi-decade relationship opportunity. Someone may buy several across their lifetime. Their children might also become customers. One good truck on a job site can influence a whole crew. Entrepreneur lesson. Even if your client can only afford a small service now, treat them as someone you might help again in the future. Check in. Remember details. Fix small things that went wrong. Every reliable interaction adds to your trust account. Mistake 3. Hiding mistakes instead of repairing them. No product is perfect. No service is perfect. Ford has had recalls, design flaws, and missteps. What matters is how quickly problems are acknowledged, whether fixes are offered, how customers feel during and after the process. If you make a mistake in your service, miss an appointment, miscommunicate something, damage trust in some way, the worst thing you can do is pretend it never happened. Blame the customer. Vanish. Entrepreneur lesson. When you mess up, own it quickly. Apologize clearly. Offer a reasonable fix. Ironically, handled well, a mistake can increase trust because the customer learns. Even when things go wrong, This person stays with me. Lessons from Principle 6. Ask yourself, if I never did a big marketing campaign, could I still grow from trust alone? What would it look like if every interaction with me made people trust me a little more? Am I ever tempted to promise more than I can deliver, and what would that do to trust? When in doubt, choose trust over flash. That is F-150 thinking. Chapter 9. When a product becomes a partner, ask a loyal F-150 owner about their truck. They often talk about it as if it were a person. She has never let me down. He hauls everything I throw at him. This truck got me through that winter. He has to purchase. It is almost a co-worker. He shows up every day, carries heavy loads, enables them to accept jobs they would otherwise have to turn down. Sometimes carries their family to safety in storms or emergencies. This is not silly sentimentality. It is a recognition that some tools are so central to your survival and dignity that you cannot help but feel attached. Your goal, in your work, is not always to become adored, but it is extremely powerful to become relied on. That brings us to the next principle, Principle 7. Let your product become a partner, not just a purchase. How the F-150 becomes a partner. The F-150 deconstructs itself into daily life in several ways. It is configured for real tasks, tie-downs, bed features, towing setups, storage. It has cabins designed to be used as rolling offices, charging ports, work surfaces, information displays. It supports long days, comfortable seating, climate control, room for tools and people. A contractor might use the bed as a prep table, use the cabin to write invoices, use the truck as power outlets to run tools on a remote site. An F-150 is not just a way to move from point A to point B. It is a working companion. Ford leans into this by offering features with clear everyday uses, advertising real-world scenarios, designing not just for driving, but for working in and around the truck. What it means for your work to be a partner. Imagine the difference between a course someone watches once and forgets, a checklist they keep on their fridge and refer to every week, or between a one-time home clean that leaves no system behind. An organizing method that changes how they keep their space for years. The second in each pair is more like a partner. Your service becomes something that lives inside their routines, helps them make decisions, reduces stress again and again. For example, if you help with medical appointments, you might create a simple, repeatable way for them to prepare questions and record answers. That method becomes their partner at every future visit, even ones you do not attend. If you help with job search, you might teach a template for outreach messages, not just write one resume. That template becomes a partner for every new opportunity. If you do home organizing, you might label storage clearly and create a simple rule set they can remember. Those labels and rules become partners in keeping order. Partner thinking asks, when I am not there, how does my work keep helping them? Comparisons. Partner products versus one-time purchases. Think of tools like a favorite kitchen knife that gets used daily, a simple budgeting sheet that guides monthly choices, reliable pair of shoes that is worn every day. These things are partners. By contrast, a gadget used once and left in a drawer, a complicated app installed after a week, an impressive but fragile item that people are afraid to touch. Those are purchases, not partners. The F-150 sits firmly in the first category for its users. You want your offer there too. 3 common mistakes with Principle 7. Mistake 1. Designing your service as a one-time event only. Many services are set up as one big session, one major clean sweep, one dramatic transformation. Customers are left with no follow-up, no tools to maintain progress, no sense of an ongoing relationship. It is like building a truck that can only do one big move and then sits useless. Entrepreneur lesson. Ask, how can I leave behind something that continues to help? It might be a simple system, a document, a small tool, or a habit. Mistake 2. Ignoring how people will actually live with your solution. Some creators design perfect systems that no one can actually maintain. For example, a complex color-coded filing system that collapses after a week. Fitness routine requires 2 hours every day from an exhausted single parent. A job search approach that assumes the person can apply to 10 positions daily. Ford knows that people will eat in their trucks, track mud inside, toss items on the seat, forget where they put things. So they design durable materials, easy to clean surfaces, storage that still works when life is messy. Entrepreneur lesson. Design your partner so it can survive real, messy life. Simple beats perfect. Mistake 3. Failing to invite clients into a longer-term rhythm. Partnership thrives on rhythm. For example, a monthly check-in, a quarterly review, a seasonal tidy-up. If you never invite clients into such rhythms, they may still value your work, but you will not achieve the stability and depth that a true partnership offers. Ford encourages partnership rhythms, maintenance intervals, upgrade paths, trade-in and trade-up programs. You can do something similar on a small scale. Offer seasonal packages. Create discounted follow-up visits. Send simple reminder messages with value, not spam. Lessons from Principle. 7. Ask yourself, if I disappeared tomorrow, would my work still be helping this person in some way? What small tool, system, or habit can I give them that keeps working when I am not present? How can I invite them into a gentle, ongoing rhythm of partnership rather than a one-off? If you answer those questions well, your offer stops being a product. It becomes a partner, like the F-150 on a long work day. Chapter 10. Gently pulling people into tomorrow. Here it is one of the most impressive things about the F-150. It managed to drag a very traditional, sometimes skeptical customer base into the future, into lighter materials, into advanced electronics, now into electrification. And it did it without breaking the bond. Truck buyers who would never have considered some flashy new electric startup brand did consider an F-150 Lightning because they already trusted the name. The truck still looked and felt like something they recognized. Ford explained the benefits in very practical terms. Towing, power tools, home backup power. This is not just an engineering trick, it is a teaching strategy. And that is our final principle. Principle 8. Use each new version to pull your customers into the future. How Ford stair-stepped. Ford forward. Ford did not jump straight from an old-fashioned truck to a radical electric spaceship. It moved in steps. For example, adding more advanced infotainment systems and driver assist features, getting people used to digital interfaces. Introducing hybrid versions that combine traditional engines with electric assistance. Then launching the F-150 Lightning, framed as your truck, plus new powers. Each step prepared buyers for the next step. Reduced fear, increased curiosity. Ford treated innovation as a sequence, not a single shock. Why this matters for people in difficult circumstances. If your clients include older adults, people with limited tech skills, those under stress from unemployment, underemployment, or fixed income, they often cannot handle massive, sudden change, but they can handle steps. For example, if you want to help someone move from total paper chaos to some digital organization, you might, first, help them organize paper into simple physical folders. Later, introduce the idea of taking photos of key documents. Next, help them set up a simple cloud folder for the most important items. Finally, show them how to share access safely with a trusted family member. At each step, you explain what changes, what stays the same, why it will help, just like Ford with new F-150 versions, comparisons. Abrupt change versus guided transition. In technology and services, many failures happen because creators force everyone onto a new platform overnight. Old methods vanish suddenly. Users feel tricked or abandoned. By contrast, successful transitions. Run the old and new side by side for a while. Offer help and education. Give people time to adjust. Ford still sells traditional engine, F-150s alongside the Lightning. They did not replace everything in one announcement. They gave their market a bridge. You must be that bridge for your clients. 3 common mistakes, with Principle 8 Mistake 1. Trying to leapfrog your customer's comfort zone in one jump. You might see a better way that feels obvious to you. A new budgeting tool. A new job search method. A new organizing system. But if you pull people too far, too fast, they freeze. They resist. They return to what they know, even if it hurts them. Entrepreneur lesson. Ask, what is the smallest next step that still moves them forward meaningfully? Design that step as a specific offer. Mistake 2. Forgetting to explain continuity. When you introduce a new version of your offer, your existing users need to hear what stays the same about your values and approach, how their previous experience with you still matters, how this new version builds on what you already did together. If you do not provide that continuity story, they may think, I guess this is not for me anymore. They changed into something else. Ford is careful to say, this is still an F-150, even when the guts change. You must tell your own version of that story. Mistake 3. Advancing your tools faster than your empathy. It is easy to fall in love with new tech, new frameworks, new methods. If your empathy, your understanding of your customer's feelings and fears does not grow at the same pace, you will lose them. Ford cannot just talk numbers with it must talk about how it feels to charge instead of pump gas. What happens if a battery runs low on a job? How electric torque feels when towing. Likewise, if you introduce a new online booking tool, a new digital resource, a new structured program, you must also talk about how simple it will be to use, what support you will provide, what they can do if they get stuck. Innovation plus empathy is what moves people forward. Lessons from Principle 8. Ask yourself, what is the future I want my customers to reach? What is the tiny next step between where they are and that future? How can I package that next step so it feels safe, clear, and worth trying? Then, like Ford, use each new version of your work as a gentle pull toward that better future. Not a shove, a pull. Chapter 11. Turning truck lessons into your product blueprint. We have walked through 8 principles drawn from how Ford built and evolved the F-150. Build for hard use, then make it easy to love. Turn your best seller into your test lab. Create many faces from one strong backbone. Innovate loudly in a familiar shape. Design for both work and life, not work or life. Use trust as your fuel, not hype. Let your product become a partner, not just a purchase. Use each new version to pull your customers into the future. Now let us translate these into a practical, simple blueprint you can use, even if you feel like you are starting with almost nothing. Step 1. Name your backbone. Ask, what do people already rely on me for? What problems do friends, family, or neighbors often bring me? What comes easier to me than to most people around me? This might be explaining, fixing, organizing, listening, navigating systems, handling tech. That is your F-150 frame. Step 2. Decide your terrain. Ask, which group of people do I understand best? Whose struggles make me say, I wish someone would help them? It might be seniors on Social Security confused by paperwork, underemployed workers trying to find better jobs, single parents juggling too many tasks, small businesses drowning in clutter and chaos. You do not have to choose forever. You just need to choose one terrain to stand on first. Step 3. Design one tough, simple workhorse. Using Principle 1, sketch a single, basic version of your service or product that solves one clear job, can survive hard use in real life, does not depend on everything going smoothly. Examples: a doctor visit buddy service, where you go with a person, help them ask questions, and write down answers. Paper pile to simple folders session, where you turn a scary stack of mail into a small, labeled system. A room reset offering, where you take one cluttered room and leave it clean, basic, and easier to maintain. Make this version as sturdy and repeatable as you can. Do not worry about fancy logos or websites yet. Step 4. Add a second and third face without changing your backbone. Now ask, with this same backbone, what other job could I do for a slightly different customer? Maybe your explaining and organizing skill could support a job application helper face for underemployed workers, a tech comfort face for seniors, a small office reset face for tiny businesses. List at least 2 such faces. Same basic way of working, different group or slightly different problem. Now you have a mini F-150 lineup, instead of only one offer. Step 5. Check for trust and partnership. Look at your draft offers and ask, if someone hires me for this, will they feel safer and clearer afterward? What can I leave behind? A checklist, a simple folder system, a template, so my work keeps helping them when I am not there? How can I invite them to check in again in a month or 3 months? This turns your idea from a quick sale into the beginning of a partnership. It moves you from purchase to F-150 in their life. Step 6. Plan a gentle future step. Finally, picture a small future for your clients. Maybe a world where they are less afraid of paperwork, or more confident with basic tech, or calmer about money, or less overwhelmed by their home. Ask, what is one small change I could introduce next time that nudges them toward that better future?